Mr. Emmanuel Kalumbata for making this happen. So I've been observing for quite some time now, and just looking at the way he put event together, the way he unite people from Africa, he's just a person that I admire, that I would like for you again to give him just a quick round of applause. So this panel we're gonna have right now, it's about tech and finance, so the Africa that we're thriving. So the Africa that we like to see, a prosperous Africa, an Africa where everybody would like to go. We just dream of going the way people dream to go some other places. So that's what we're gonna talk about here right now. So all the people that you see here, they were handpicked because of the expertise in the industry that you represent. So we have an expert on iTech and also on finance. So before we can start, so I'm just gonna give some few highlights of Africa that are found in this wonderful book. Let me see. So there is a book that I read. It's called Africa Business Revolutions: How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market. And the title of the book, they're talking about Africa being the next growth market. It's not just by hazard, but because Africa is the next growth market. And I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that by just few numbers. So in Africa, we have $5.6 trillion in projected consumer and business spending by 2025. This $5.6 trillion. So we have, 1.2 billion people with population expected to double by 2050. 11 million square miles of land, 3 times that of Europe. 400 companies with an annual revenue of $1 billion or more. This is in Africa. 122 million active users of mobile financial services. 89 cities of over 1 million inhabitants by 2030. 54 countries expected to create the world's largest free trade area. And 2 times potential growth in manufacturing output by 2025. So this just in summary, so the highlight of Africa, of the Africa that we are thriving, the Africa that we like to see in the future. So now I'm gonna turn to my panelists. So I'm just gonna ask questions and just feel free to answer whenever you feel like it's your question to answer.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So the first question, we all heard about the pandemic, not that I wanna go back to the pandemic, but the pandemic has just changed the way business are getting done in all areas. It can be agriculture, it can be in finance, it can be in technology, just any aspect of activity is being impacted by the pandemic. So being a native from Africa, so how do you think, how did the pandemic affected Africa, and how Africa has stood up for that, and what is the step forward, what technology point, on a technology point standpoint, also on a financial standpoint?
Thank you. I would like to go first. My name is Alberto Mungengi, and I'm glad to be part of the panel. I would like to quote Mrs. Her Excellency Ambassador when she said, as diaspora, our role is actually to bring the technology back. Why she said that? It's not about the market. It's about the strategy. Most of us have heard what atomic bomb represented when we talk about diplomacy and strategy at the world stage. This is how we see data today. Data is our weapon. Data is what we need to make sure that Africa can have the best strategy and her voice to be heard at the diplomatic level. Why I'm saying that? She's here representing African Union. There is a president of African Union. Being here, being part of a panel like this or going to the United Nations, she has to make some decisions, but she cannot make those calls. She has to refer to her boss, or obviously. This is the thing with data. If you have those suitable data in real time, you will be able to make those decisions. That's why we think that the data is important. I would like to go a little bit further with the same data. Why we think data is a potential for African, because we cannot, as African at this stage, we cannot make atomic bomb, right? But we can make data. And data also is something we are using to deter before going to those conferences. What I mean by that, I'm seeing a lady over there, she's taking some pictures, that's a good thing. And all of us, we did today, right? And why? Because you want to make memories, because those are data. Can you imagine, like what happened to me this morning? When I was getting ready, my phone dropped. When the phone dropped, my question was not how much that phone cost. I'm gonna lose my data. I'm gonna lose my memories. And if we don't have sustainable infrastructure in Africa, that means we won't have the right data, we won't be able to make the right decision, and we always be left beyond and thinking Africa about business, not at the strategic level. We would like actually to modify that narrative. To your point, yes, the COVID changed the way we should see things from Africa's standpoint, but no, but from at the global stage, because data is a power. We need to have data. We all of us know, hey, when we talk about data, we always say, oh, there is hacking there is ransomware there. They cannot access their data. But if we don't have that sustainable place to back up our data, we are ourselves being ransomware by ourselves. And we don't want to go back 60 years where African did not have a right archive platform to save data. And we need those data for the cure, for the COVID. We need data. And that's why we think that Africa has to be part of that. And that's why we're here, to share that expertise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alberto.
Thank you, Mr. Alberto. Thank you, Mr. Alneri Bariba. It brings a lot of memories just to be here and to see him. We went to the same high school like 20, 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
So he was my elder, but we went to the same high school. So it's just great to see how we have all evolved over time and become very productive people in society. So as we have all observed, COVID has changed the way we live, affected us in many ways. And one of the good things, I mean, there are many negative things about COVID, of course, and we all know that. But one of the good things about COVID, it has led us to appreciate technology. Because without technology, the world would have stopped. We would not have been able to function and to do the things we do. So especially in Africa, where people were used to conduct business just face-to-face, and everything was on paper. I remember before COVID, because I do a lot of consulting work in Africa, especially in Congo, and when I was talking to officials, they'll tell you, just come. So to have a meeting, you have to travel, meet in person. But with COVID this year, I was able to have meeting on Zoom because they had to do Zoom. They had to get up to speed with technology, and we were able to do things and make a lot of progress and have a lot of projects actually on the ground and without even traveling. So that was one good thing about COVID that I've noticed. So we all know, I think Our Excellency is here. On January 1st, the African Union, they signed the African free trade agreement, continental free trade agreement. And I think that is something unprecedented that gives us a huge opportunity. And I was listening to her carefully. She said, Africa is not integrated. That's one of the downfall. That's one of the weakness of Africa. We are not integrated. So in the whole percentage of trades that happen in the world, Africa accounts only for 2% of trade worldwide. And only 17% of trade in Africa are intra-trade. That means within ourselves. Only 17% of trade that happens in Africa is within ourselves. And 73, we do it with Europe, America. So this platform gives us an opportunity, and that is an opportunity for Africa to rebound even from COVID faster. Because what lifts an economy, the economy of a country, is trade. When people exchange, when people sell and buy, that's why here usually we have like stimulus, right? When there's a crisis in the economy, there's a stimulus package to entice people to exchange, to trade, and to buy, and that lifts the economy. So the idea behind the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is to create an environment that is conducive to trade so that African people can trade within ourselves without barrier, without red tape. And I was in Congo just not long ago in October, and I'm partnering with a group which is called the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. So it's part of Afri-Exim Bank. Yes, Your Excellency is like shaking her. Yeah, so I was there with the group in Congo. So what they did is really genius. So we have this free trade agreement, right? But how do we execute? How does it come to pass? We need tools, right? We need platform that would allow African country to trade and exchange. This currently is difficult. How would you trade? We have different currency, right? In Nigeria, you have Naira. In Congo, we have franc Congolais. How do we trade? How do we exchange? So with the Pan-African payment system, so what we did was very, very, I think it's really groundbreaking from Africa. Today, if you want to send, you in Kinshasa, you want to send money to Brazzaville, which is 5 minutes away. If you want to do a financial transaction through bank, it will take you 5 to 7 days. And every transaction you make in Africa, let's say from Congo, Kinshasa to Brazzaville, or even Rwanda, neighboring country, has to go through London or New York. Why? I want to send money to my brother here, but he has to go all the way out there and come back. It takes time. Not only time, there are accumulated fees. You have to pay for it because you have to go to Citibank and all these banks. So that's why transactions are expensive. And if I'm in Goma, I want to transact in Kigali, I'm just going to take the bus and go there and do a cash transaction because it doesn't make any sense to pay all that fees and wait all that time. So with the Pan-African payment settlement system, we are able to transact directly. And that platform is here, is live, is currently, and in many countries in the Western Africa are already bought into it. So I brought that group in Congo so that we have Congo be included in this platform. Now, with that platform, which we call PAPS, I can send money directly to Congo, Brazzaville, to another country in Africa, and directly. It doesn't have to go through London or New York. You send the money directly, and they get the money the same day. So the transaction happens directly and real time. That is really, I think, is a deal breaker. And the good thing is it's an African solution by African for African. Because, thank you. Thank you. It's an African solution for African by African. And nobody's going to do it for us. Because guess what? When we have this transaction go through New York, who makes the money? They make the money, and they won't give us the solution. Because if we have a solution for ourselves, we're eating into their profit. So, and that's something we did, and we are trying to get the rest of the countries to buy into the system, into the platform. We were in Congo, we met with the head of the central bank, we had a great discussion, and now we are working into the details how we can bring Congo into this platform and other African country for that matter. So I'm not gonna hold up the microphone forever. I have a lot to say. I can go on for the whole night, but I think there are other questions where I can speak to other matters. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Perry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that was fantastic. COVID, like my colleagues here have mentioned, have really impacted Africa, impacted the world. Initially, when we first soft-launched BomaLink, the strategy was really to connect those of us here in the diaspora to opportunities on the continent. However, we had to pivot because based on the data we were collecting, based on the intelligence coming in from various parts of Africa, we saw that the COVID lockdown impacted our brothers and sisters on the continent. They couldn't earn a living. The average African has to go out every day. They hustle, they trade, they buy and sell to bring enough money home so they could eat, so they could pay their bills. And we had a very interesting eureka moment, and we decided, you know what? There are a lot of talented, bright Africans. Many of us in this room, for instance, we're very highly educated. The people on the continent, they can speak good English, they can write pretty well. Why are the jobs in America going to India? Why can't they go to our brothers and sisters at home? And I was one of the culprits. My core business, OBS, we build software. And we have an office in India as well. And I thought, wait a minute, let's give our brothers in Africa a chance and try this out. And we started to push more and more work to Africans in Africa. And we started to experiment on how things work. You know, what are the trends? What are the strategies in Africa? We started to study the data, as my colleague mentioned. The data was very, very key in understanding how things flowed inside Africa and outside. So that made me also see that our biggest asset as Africans, our biggest asset is the people, we, the people. We Africans everywhere in the world, on the continent, in the diaspora, we have everything it takes to be successful. And I also think we are a threat to other countries, really. Because when we wake up and we organize ourselves, just like Her Excellency shared earlier, if we can organize ourselves and strategize, we would not need any country on this planet. The other countries have aging populations. They're having challenges with the younger demographics, and Africa is becoming actually Africa is the continent with the youngest population. We have the skills, the talent. So I really want us to wake up and recognize these opportunities. In this room right now, we have everything we need to be successful. We have political leadership with the African Union. We have bright, vibrant business people who can do many things. My good friend Rispa Abraham at the back there introduced me to her sister, Becky Abraham, in Kenya. She's a fantastic data scientist who we're leveraging to do various things around data and how Africa could be structured and organized so we could learn about the great continent that we have. I would like to encourage us, when you need a website, a mobile app, rather than go to India and Upwork, give a shot to an African brother or sister, you know, get to know them, vet them out. We spoke to General Motors to ask them what will it take to leverage Africa versus going to India for your offshore work. And it was very simple. This was in the middle of the pandemic when I told them how hungry and vibrant Africans really are. We can speak the English already. We have better accents. You know, we can speak better with call centers. And they told me just two things. And I think those of us in this room can solve that problem today. The two things that General Motors wanted is the ability for us to vet our African brothers and sisters to make sure they are who they say they are. Do they have the degrees? Do they have the qualifications? Do they have the experience? And the second thing is security. You know, internet access. Can we secure the data connection? We talked about high-speed internet access. We have that. If we can guarantee those two things, I think Africa will rise up, and it will rise exponentially, tremendously, and we will see the COVID pandemic as a blessing. And I think the time is now, and we have everything we need to be tremendously successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shola. Thank you.
Well, Africa, like any other continent, to my point of view, was affected by COVID just as much as any other country. But what made the difference for, say, America was the technology, like as you spoke of. Technology such as Zoom, technology such as DocuSign, technology such as the telemedicine now, a lot of that's just able to move directly onto the internet using technology to function as a continent. Speaking of America or talking about Europe. So now what we've discovered are opportunities. Opportunities. Who is going to build the Zoom of Africa? Because Zoom is not thinking about Africa. Who is going to build the DocuSign of Africa? Because if you look at countries such as China, they take the technology in America that's thriving, they create it for themselves, and they're protected. They're protected. So all of the things that my brothers have said are very much what we need to pay attention to. We need to be integrated. We need to use the data to make decisions to figure out what is it that we need in order for us to move forward. Thank you, bro. Am I on? Okay. So using that data and being integrated and using platforms that will allow us to say, for instance, if I want to hire a brother in Kenya who is very much versed in building websites, like you said, I have no way of vetting him, no way of paying him, no way of confirming that he is who he is, that he's able to do what he can do. So the opportunities have now been uncovered and discovered that we can create this platform and get integrated, use our data to make decisions. Therefore, we have the opportunity. Oh, plus, we have the youngest demographic of all the continents in the world. So, like China or India, for instance, 10 years or 20 years ago, they were in that same position. This is our position. And those young people, they understand technology naturally because they were born in it. So we have the biggest advantage of actually taking over that technological part of where the world is going to create the apps, the softwares, the platform that are needed. So we actually, COVID has showed us that we have the biggest opportunities to take advantage of. And with that, we'll be able to prepare ourselves if a next pandemic was to happen. Or it puts us in a position to put Africa on the map, so to speak, to really play the role of being the next frontier, as so to speak. So that's what I see.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mavakala. So just like I told you that we are here in front of us, just a group of experts, they're subject matter expert in the what they do. So everybody here was talking about data. Data is power, real-time data. So we need to leverage data in order to thrive, in order to do better. And there are so many buzzwords lately. We have data science, machine learning, data this, data that. But the thing is, in order to have those data need to be collected. And one of the challenges that we have now in Africa, so one, you start searching for some data, and you're just not able to find it. But it appeared to me that there are some obstacles as far as collecting the data. That's the first question, my first observation. And the second one is, in Africa, when you talk about security, like how secure the data gonna be, so in most countries in Africa, we don't have any, like some strong secure data center. And I will speak about my country, Congo, for example. So I don't see any data center of the size of Amazon AWS. But yet, there are some laws, I know that there are lawmakers here in this room, there are some laws that prevent from those data being hosted somewhere else. Like in Congo, for example, so you cannot, the data are sovereign, they need to stay within. So how now, I'm not sure about other countries, so how now can Africa can thrive while we don't have some data center and some government prevent us IT people from using data center that are hosted outside of the country? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yes, definitely that's an issue. And the good news with having issue, that means there is a solution coming up.
Thank you.
Why we are saying that? If you guys read on the news, that's something I do, Chinese are there, Americans are there, Europeans are there. All they are in Africa, but we are not there, even though we live there. Why? Because we need somebody to stand for us and make the right decision. How that person gonna make the right decision if that person doesn't have the data? If that person doesn't know that having those data, I need to use those data for my national security. Why? Because when you have data, when you have an infrastructure, we always say data is okay. All of us, we talk about technology, right? But it takes three things, or three pillars. It takes people, it takes processes, and it takes technology. If we miss one of them, we won't have anything. I can create whatever I can, but if there is no one who's standing with me, taking the right approach, meaning putting in place what today we call policies, nothing gonna happen. But why they are taking those policies? Even though we cannot, at this stage as African, we cannot make the atomic bomb, is expensive and so forth, but we can make data, and data is power. Once we understand that, those decision makers, they will stand, rise up with us, and say this is the time, because with that data, if I can deter my competitor, what that means? Some people say we hack, right? IP for intellectual property. If I can hack some other countries like we see in US, and we got in the morning at the conference, those people, even though they will be able to talk to me, but I will say, look, I have this. I get that from you, but you are claiming that you are the best country in the world, the most secure, but you are not, because I can't prove that. That person will sit with me and listen. Once those decision makers from Africa in Africa will understand that those data, actually they are power for the national security, they will help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so there are things in place already. You know, some things are in place, some things are in gestation. So, you know, I'm gonna go back to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So, as a result of that, we have the PAPS, which I mentioned, the Pan-African Payment System. Within it, there's also a marketplace, a secure marketplace that has been built as part of this platform that is called Excel Marketplace. So the goal of this marketplace is for African, let's say I'm in Nigeria, I have, let's say Fanny House has a store of goods in Nigeria. She's from Nigeria, and then she can put her product on the marketplace, and somebody from Kenya can get on the marketplace and purchase that product securely, seamlessly, and she can pay in local currency. I don't know what's the currency in Kenya.
Shilling.
Shilling, sorry. She can pay with a local currency, and Fanny will get her money in Nigeria in Naira. I mean, that's really groundbreaking. And the World Bank even said that this platform could generate $6.7 trillion in the years to come if it is leveraged properly. So there are infrastructure in place coming up, so we just need the political will, different leaders to buy into this infrastructure, because it's new for Africa, but they are brilliant minds working, and we have this project, and we also have another project with a company called eTransact. So eTransact is the leading mobile payment provider in the whole continent of Africa. So it's in 5 or 6 countries in Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Rwanda, and there's also an office in the UK. So what they do is basically they facilitate the payments and collection of payment electronically. I went to Congo a few weeks ago. The first thing you notice, you get to the airport, everything is cash. It's like, in many countries in Africa, it's cash, right? So you go, you pay cash, and they give you a paper receipt.
So as far as your platform, right? It's
Yes.
a great platform for data privacy. Since I see that, it's a technology that spans throughout Africa,
Yes.
so many regions.
Yes.
So how they're able, to secure people data, because each country have, their own way of data law, data privacy. So how are you dealing with that?
So the way we do it is in the platform, we work with each central bank of every country, because the central bank is the entity in each country to engage the country. So the central bank, actually the country that are part of this platform, the head of the central bank by default are in the board of the payment processing system. So they have a say. Like now we're working to get Congo on board. So they're gonna be on the board, and Congo will have a say and say definitely what they want based on their own regulation and their own needs. So it's not just a blanket, one size fits all type of infrastructure. So we consider each country come with their rules, and we try to integrate that together.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I would like just to add something, because you talk about data privacy and cybersecurity.
Because
Myself,
it's very important. Data
it is.
privacy and cybersecurity.
It
That's why
is.
Mr. Shola said that some people say, okay, how I'm gonna give you the job if you cannot secure my data? Go ahead.
correct, it is. And myself, I'm cybersecurity expert, so I can fully understand that. When we talk about cybersecurity, especially in the data privacy, that's the example I was taking at the beginning, right? When I show my phone. Those data, if I lose my phone, I'm gonna lose my data. And somebody else gonna get those data and put those on internet, on the news. Maybe there are some pictures I don't want anyone to see. Maybe I talk to somebody. I don't want other people to see or read that message. This is the basic, this is the hygiene. How to secure my phone. And I'm sure most of us from Africa, we heard about Pegasus, Israel company, and we know the damage that went there. So when we talk about data, we talk about security. Security start with us as human, not technology. Technology is the last piece of that. So because security, mainly cybersecurity, start with us, we need to be well educated. We need to be aware of things. I cannot leave my phone there and go over there because I want to drink the water, and there is no code in that phone. Anyone else can take advantage. We always say that the weakest link in cybersecurity is always human being, not the technology. So we need, again, once we understand the importance of data in national security, we will have the proper regulation, governance, and on top of that, or underneath of that, that's where technology will come in with firewall or other type of infrastructure. But we have to put human being in the center and make him aware. That's what we need.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just try to piggyback on that IT security. So, can you advise someone to use any system, any technology that don't use any two-factor authentication?
This day and time is the must to go, two-factor authentication. There is a free one with Google, free, we call that 2FA, two-factor authentication. I will advise because the password, anyone can brute force your password, anyone can guess, but at least the two-factor authentication, there is Google Authenticator, is free, everyone can use it. And it actually is good too. But I have seen and heard it's too complicated. Why is my phone, my password, nobody knows it, so I cannot adjust the password until you lose your data, until you lose your phone, and start thinking, oh, I'm sure we're gonna find those data and they're gonna take them. Or something originally from Gabon. My sister, she's an executive assistant to a CEO of a national company. She lost her phone, and because she's an assistant, she has a lot of CEOs and private, data. She did not have two-factor authentication. She called me to say, oh, I lost the phone. I have so many phone numbers. What can I do? Because those are private numbers. I say, you lost? You lost. No way you're gonna get it. And somebody called her from the same phone, saying, hey, I have your phone. It's about, you gave me $100, I'm giving you the phone back. But unfortunately, I already erased all data. That was the basic hygiene, having two-factor authentication. So I will advise everybody here, if it's not too late, to have your two-factor authentication. If it doesn't serve you now, it's gonna serve you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alberto. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, so I'll also add to what my brother just shared here. Not only protecting your phone or the data within your control, we call it personal data, find a way to keep it backed up. So a lot of services these days, you have the cloud, and think about the cloud as one big filing cabinet where you can save stuff. A lot of phones are configured to automatically do backup. So in case your phone gets lost, you can always buy a new one and restore it from the stuff you've backed up in the cloud. But to your original question though about data privacy, we know now that data is gold. Data is the new oil across Africa. And one thing I admire the United States government is the way it protects the data on the continental USA. About 12 years ago, my company won a contract with the US Army. We built some very innovative software for them. But one thing I learned is the data of the US government does not leave this continent. It cannot leave. There are policies and laws against data leaving. Even if you copy it into a USB drive, it just cannot leave. You need special clearances to access data, and you have to be vetted. You have to, the government makes sure you are who you say you are in order to access Now, if African governments could also adopt the same philosophy and really care about its citizens first and want to protect the citizens rather than allowing data centers and data to go outside of the continent. So you have governments in Africa who may not even have their data, sensitive data, inside their own country. It's in a Amazon cloud data storage somewhere outside of the continent. I think that's grounds for espionage and attacks. Another thing I admire about countries like China, they take it to another level. Not just the government data, but even the citizens' data. So if you have like large platforms like Baidu and these, you know, you mentioned the Chinese technology, they don't even allow the Chinese citizens to go out on Facebook. You know, they have very strict firewalls. You have to use a special proxy server to access WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter. They keep this data so tightly controlled because they know it is the asset. Data exposes who we are as a people to people who may not have our best interests at heart. And if our leaders in Africa does not really care about the citizens, maybe we in the diaspora, we send billions. I mean, you mentioned, is it 75 billion? We sent 75 billion to Africa. Maybe it's time we pick someone here, maybe Her Excellency. We pick her to run for office and elect her into office, make her president. And maybe that's the standard we need to start to send, you know, and start to make these standards that we have a collective power to effect change in Africa so that the leaders could do their jobs and serve us, protect our data, and prevent other countries from forcing us to put our data in external data centers, which may not be in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to piggyback on what he's saying. Oh, you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I wanted to add to, I think the original, the original question. One, the way I look at it, that there are certain parties that have to come together. The investments, people have to invest in creating and building this data center. The government has to create laws. Governments of Africa have to work together to create laws that will allow data to be able to maybe transfer between the countries of Africa but contain and protect it. Now there's, and the technologists, the people that actually create the technology have to, I think, in my point of view, inform the government. Like the certain governments, like you mentioned, the government of the United States is very well versed in technology. It's something they thrive on. So our governments may not understand the level of risk that they're putting their countries in when they don't have highly protected data. We've seen here a few months ago, Facebook and Instagram were taken down. Systems of how merchandise can be transferred or can be transported were affected because data was breached. If our governments can understand that this is putting them at risk, not having this secure data systems puts the government itself at risk, and educating them, and more importantly, bringing in investments to wrap it all together, I think we can get this thing sorted out.
Yeah, my brother actually, you know, I'm so sorry to interject, but he mentioned a very key term here about investments. Who pays for the technology? Does everyone remember the challenge we had about TikTok, where TikTok was banned? It was really because it's heavily owned by Chinese. So why would a foreign country own majority of a technology that we as Americans use? We give our data away for free. So because of that, the US government had to put policies where Americans have to own part of the company, which is where the investment side comes in, and it balances the power and how our data is being used and distributed.
Yeah, just really quick,
Okay.
because we're start to run
Let
out
me
of
just
time.
give me
Yeah.
one
Okay,
minute.
go ahead.
So I don't work for the African Union, but I know I keep mentioning that. But there's actually an African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, right now. So there's a body working on everything that we say now. And they're putting together a convention called Malabo Convention. So that will preserve the integrity of the data on the African continent. And these are really the principle by which those legislation or those laws will be based on. It's going to be a meaningful user consent. Let's say for collecting people data, people have to give their consent. And the second pillar of that is collection and purpose of limitation. It's like, why are you collecting this data and for how long? So these are the rules to protect this is happening on the African continent. So they're putting all these safeguards as we speak. And there's also data minimization and data security. So I'm not gonna go long on that, but there's a body right now that the African Union has put in place, and it's gonna be an independent body, so it's not influenced, by a particular country, that will make sure these data on the African continent are safe and protected.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, so this is a very good discussion here. I'm not sure if you're getting bored or you're learning something from it. For me, it's a pretty informative. And really, I think there is a call, just for summarize, everything that you say here, people, process, technology. And there is also a call, to government officials, just, to set up some legal framework that can really protect the people and protect the data, because data privacy, cybersecurity is very important, because a country can be attacked just, to the cyberspace, and they can be damaging to the national security. So I'm gonna go to another question, because we know Africa, we're talking about Africa, how Africa can thrive. There are so many people in Africa that need to start a business. I wanna start a business, but to start a business, you need to have money, you need to have funding. And in America, so if you want to get funding, you can go to a bank. If you like a good credit score, then they can lend you money. But in Africa, so the credit score system does not really exist. So in most countries, in order to get funding, so you have to give your house as a collateral in order to get a fund, because they cannot really backtrack to see your past history, how you will be behaving financially. So that is really preventing people who don't own houses to be able to access to funding. So how do you think, or what strategy do you have in mind that can help, that undeserved population to tap in financial resources? I'm gonna start with Mr. Mavakala.
I think we have some of the tools that we can use to start with the process. Mobile payment system is highly used in Africa. We can start there again. Data privacy. We have to talk about that, but we can start there by studying the data, the usage of the individual based on the mobile payment, and connecting that directly with the banking system so that we can identify the income level of the person, for instance, to determine what they can qualify for, which would then allow the banking system to be able to make these loans and put people in a position to take advantage of that. So I think it's also going to come back to you guys, the technologists, to figure out, to create the type of technology that will allow the banking system to be able to evaluate the customer, being at the ground level. We can start using something similar to the Social Security number, the credit score system. We have opportunity to create softwares that can track that going through the app, the mobile app, the payment app system. I think that's where Africa should be starting to look at, because we already have a very high usage of mobile payment system. We can start there and create a score system going from there, and working obviously with the banking system.
That's fantastic. And to piggyback on that, yes, technology is critical in tracking and managing who needs funding, how much funding they've received, and qualifying them. However, I'm a big believer of also believing in yourself. If you have a great, vibrant idea, you can bootstrap for a little bit to prove that it works. And proving that it works, testing the market a little bit, gives the banks or investors a level of confidence that you're going to win. The main thing about banks is if they loan you this money, are they going to get their money back? Are they going to get a return? Same thing with investors. If they invest in your business, will they make any money? That's the key question you want to answer. And the best way to answer that is by proving it out. We all have hopes and dreams in this room. There are many business people. Look at the vendors behind there. The lady at the back in the corner with the dresses, I had a great conversation with her and also the chef over there. They started by themselves. And we had a panelist up here who started with $50. But by sewing one dress, if we can just start where we are, prove it to ourselves, others are willing to believe in us. I believe if you can see it in your mind and you believe in it, you can hold it in your hand one day. In my businesses, I've never started by borrowing from day one with a startup. I start by bootstrapping and then talking to people, friends, family who believe in me. If I'm able to sell it to them and they believe and I get a little money here and there, it goes a long way. My core business with software, I started in my bedroom on my computer, just building a website. And I was helping a friend build a website. This guy is a VP in the bank. And I built a website for his wife's business, and he paid me $835 in 1997. And I was surprised, like, wow, you paid me for this? I already had so much fun building a website, proving it to myself that I could build a website. That was the spark that I needed that proved to myself that the funding will come. And as long as I had fun doing what I enjoy, following my passion, following my dream, following that which makes me wake up every morning, the money followed me. The resources followed me. The friends that I will make in this room, they will come. Everyone, they always come. When you can show that you're delivering the gift that you were given, the money always follows.
Thank you very much. Perry.
I was. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, I was reading an article actually today, and the title of the article was "The 100 Trillion Opportunity." Anybody interested to know the 100 trillion
Of course,
opportunity?
I am. I can start
You are?
today.
All
Yeah.
right. Looks like some people are not interested.
I need to sign up. Just give me the link.
I mean, President Biden's getting a fight for 2 trillion, 1.5 trillion. This is 100 trillion opportunity. And sorry about that. And he says what? The race to provide banking to the world's poor. So that's fintech, financial technology. In America as well as abroad, even in America here, there are a lot of people that are unbanked or underbanked. They live paycheck by paycheck. They have to go to pay their loan to get. A lot of people cannot afford basically to have a bank account without incurring fees, right? Most bank here in America, you have to keep a certain minimum, right? If you don't have that minimum, a couple of thousand, there's a monthly fee they charge you. So this is a great opportunity, not only in America, especially in Africa. And when I think about Africa, I'm especially thinking about women. Do you know that 70% of transactions that happen in Africa are by women?
Yeah, yes,
Who goes to the market?
Yeah,
Who buys everything for the household?
the women?
But
They got power.
yes, most of the transaction, but these women do not have access to loans, credit, bank. They are not empowered. So one of the key to success for Africa is to give these women access, because access to opportunity. I like that. I like that. Access to this opportunity that will, I'm telling you, will revolutionize the continent, like all together, all together. And I keep saying we have something in place. So with my partner eTransact, we did a project in Cameroon. So what we did, we turned the post office into a financial, a financial marketplace. Instead of just going to the post office to send and receive mail, we took advantage of the post office because in any country, the entity that has the largest network is the post office. The post office everywhere. There's no bank, there's no company, there's no corporation that's located in every area by the post office. So why don't we leverage, that was the idea, why don't we leverage the post office to go beyond just a place where you drop and pick up mail? Why don't we use a post office as a marketplace? Right? Why don't we use the post office to reach people in the remote area that don't have access to this certain infrastructure? So what we did in Cameroon, people could come and pay, let's say, to pay your utility bills, your water and electricity through the post office. People can go there and pay. They can pay their cable at the post office.
Are they able to borrow at the post office?
Yes, I was getting there. You're a smart man.
I mean, he's a financial guy.
He's
so-
a financial guy. And this is what we say. So it depends from government to government. Let's say, so what we do in Cameroon is even the payments of people that work for the government agent, they get paid through the post office because instead of going far, the post office right there in the neighborhood, you go there, you collect your payment. So there's an agreement with the government, right? Let's say for every employer of the government, there's a law, they say like you can borrow up to 30% of your income. So with our system, eTransact, so let's say on Friday night I'm at the hospital and I have a loved one who's sick. I need to pay. It's Friday night. But in Africa, if you don't have money, if you don't pay, they don't treat you. It's not like here. No, they don't turn you away. Emergency room, they take you. In Africa, you pay before they see you. So I have someone who's sick and I don't have the cash. It's Friday night. Everything is closed. I can't wait until Monday to go to the bank or try to get money. With the application that we have, based on that rule, because we have their data, their information, we have their income, because they get paid through that system. So the person can go on the app and borrow money right there, instantly. Because we have all this information. We have his name, we have his income and his work for the government. He makes, let's say, $1,000 a month. He can borrow up to $300, like directly.
That's great.
Okay.
And so that's what I was, this technology out there, and we're trying to push it throughout Africa. So I'm just going to end there, so I don't have to take, I see you're winking at me.
They're telling me back here that you're running out of time. So.
Running out of time, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, these opportunities out there, I would like to encourage, people who are listening or policymaker. I mean, this technology out there, and brilliant mind are behind this, and we just need to drive this adoption, and this will make a difference, especially for women. We need to get this money, these resources to the women of Africa.
Because they know how to save, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
They know how to save, they manage, and they're smarter than us too,
That's right. I agree with you. Go ahead, Mr. Alberto.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, we talk about the funding, right, how to get the funding. We thought about the bank. The question is, what can you do with 1 million? If somebody has to give you 1 million right now, what can you do with that? Many of us, some of us, they already have ideas, some don't. That means the first thing is to have an idea. Because you have an idea, you will find a way to implement that idea. I like the fact you mentioned women. I saw my grandma. She doesn't know, she's alive. She doesn't know how to read or so forth for the bank system. But she's smart, and she's not the only person I have ever seen smart. Bunch of women. I'm French speaking, originally from Gabon. I saw those women, including my grandma, they have a system they call la tontine. What that means, they put money together and they cycle monthly. This month you, this month you. And I saw my grandma buy a lot of things because she had idea I'm gonna buy next time I get that. So if we implement those things, we always find ways when we have the idea. And we bypass the bank system because why? Majority of those banks in Africa, the money doesn't stay there. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
That means those banks, they are working for different system than African system. We need to generate the money in Africa, use that money in Africa, and stay in Africa. That's my call.
Yeah, thank you very much. I
Can I
actually
say
saw.
one thing?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Can I say one
yeah,
last
yeah.
thing?
Go ahead, go ahead,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So I hope I'm not being greedy here on the microphone, but how many of you have heard about a company, a startup called Tala, Tala? So it's actually now, it's in many developing countries, one of them being Kenya. So it was developed by somebody from a lady from who lived here in America but now moved, I think, to Asia. So they give people loan by just it's an app. You can get a loan by just the application goes through your phone, just looks at the data on your phone and determine if you're credit worthy. Let's say the application sees if you call frequently your mom. These are for people who don't have credit history. It sees if you call your parent, and based on the algorithm, if you have the habit of calling the parent, they feel like you'll be good with money. I mean, that's true. That's an algorithm. And based on that. And the other thing is like, let's say you tend to pay your bills, like your regular bills on time. The platform, the algorithm looked at that to give people funding. So I know a lot of people, the question was, how do you determine credit worthiness? But they are creative and in innovative way right now, bridging this gap to give this opportunity to people who are underserved.
Yeah, exactly. Because even like in China, like we were talking about China here. In China right now, they develop technology. Instead of looking at your past history, now they are looking in your future. So how you are doing in the future. Let's say, for example, you just graduated from Harvard, and they know that if you graduate from Harvard, so you have potential of making X amount of money, and people there are so committed to stuff, then they can give you money, and you can have access to credit. So I think, yeah, we are completely running out of time, so I'm going to turn the mic over to the host. I just want to thank you so much, Mr. Alberto, Perry, Shola, Mr. Mavakala, for just answering to those questions. For me, I've learned a lot. No time to summarize, but I just need to digest, and I can move on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's